Across thousands of years of human history, philosophy has all too often retreated into ivory towers, drifting away from the concrete demands of day-to-day existence into esoteric riddles and mystical abstractions. Yet two philosophical systems stand out as uncompromising champions of human agency, rational discipline, and practical living: ancient Stoicism and modern Objectivism. Separated by more than 2 millennia, these two worldviews share a profound, fundamental conviction that the human mind has the power and the responsibility to guide its own life, that the human mind is efficacious, and that human beings are effective, capable agents in the world, that reality is knowable, that emotions are not mystical imperatives, and that a life of virtue, clarity, and self-mastery is the only foundation for true human flourishing. To understand both philosophies fairly, we must appreciate their historical context. Stoicism arose in the Hellenistic world around 300 BC, founded by Zeno of Citium, and later immortalized by Roman thinkers like Seneca, the freed slave Epictetus, and the emperor Marcus Aurelius. In a world where fortune was fickle and arbitrary political upheaval could turn an emperor into an exile overnight, Stoicism offered individuals a systematic method for achieving unshakable inner resilience and personal dignity. Objectivism, formulated by novelist and philosopher Ayn Rand in the mid-20th century, entered human history after more than 2,000 years of intellectual debate, scientific discovery, and philosophical refinement. Objectivism builds on the greatest achievements of Western thought, most notably Aristotle's logic, the Enlightenment's defense of individual rights, and the Industrial Revolution's demonstration of man's capacity to reshape the physical world. Because Objectivism is a modern philosophy, it benefits from centuries of rigorous debate on epistemology, economics, psychology, and metaphysics. It does not look at man merely as an entity struggling to endure an unpredictable cosmos, but as a creator capable of mastering both his internal consciousness and his external environment. Stoicism is best known throughout the world for one foundational idea: the strict separation between what is within our internal control and what is external, and therefore fundamentally outside our control. Epictetus opens the Enchiridion with this famous principle, known as the dichotomy of control. Some things are in our control, and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. To the Stoic, genuine value is strictly internal. Value does not reside in external things, material outcomes, or physical achievements. It exists solely within your inner thoughts, your rational judgments, and your moral character. Anything outside your direct moral will belongs to the realm of adiaphora, indifference. Material wealth, physical health, public reputation, career success, and the actions of other people are classified at best as preferred indifference. Because the Stoic holds that virtue is an end in itself, and that virtue is purely an internal state of consciousness, external objects and worldly results possess zero fundamental value. They may be convenient or pleasant if you have them, but they cannot add or subtract a single ounce from your moral worth. If misfortune strips away your property, your health, or your freedom, the Stoic maintains that you have lost nothing of true value, because your inner thoughts, what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, remain entirely your own. There is tremendous psychological strength in this insight. It teaches individuals not to whine, not to blame others, and not to surrender their integrity to external chaos. Just as importantly, it passionately advocates the positive duty of agency. Whenever something is within your sphere of control, your judgments, your impulses, and your moral character, you must take absolute ownership and full responsibility for it. Yet here's where Objectivism makes a crucial, revolutionary distinction. Objectivism agrees completely that you cannot control reality by wishing, nor can you command the choices of other human beings. But Objectivism rejects the idea that values are merely internal thoughts, or that external reality and material achievement are morally indifferent. In Objectivism, a value is not just a mental attitude. A value is that which one acts to gain and or keep in the real world. This includes internal thoughts as well as external concretes. Objectivism introduces a vital distinction between the metaphysically given and the man-made. The metaphysically given consists of the unalterable facts of nature, such as the laws of physics, biology, and our mortal nature. These facts must be accepted as absolutes. Wishing gravity away is irrational. The man-made, however, consists of everything that depends on human choice and action. Ideas, technology, careers, wealth, production, institutions, and relationships. And this is precisely where Objectivism footstomps the imperative of human agency. The man-made is not indifferent, and it is not beyond our reach. This is the exact realm where we can, and must, take active control, apply our rational minds, and shape our environment to serve human life. Man is not a disembodied consciousness trapped in a body. Man is an integrated being of mind and body. To survive and flourish, human beings cannot treat the material world as indifferent. Values cannot remain locked inside your head. We must produce them in reality. Career, family, and friends are real values, not to be brushed off or de-emphasized. Wealth is not an accident of fate. It is the concrete result of applied human intelligence. Physical health, career ambition, scientific discovery, artistic creation, and romantic love are real, objective values essential to a fully realized human life. While Stoicism focuses on building an inner fortress to endure whatever siege the external world mounts, Objectivism views the rational mind as an active builder and creator, directing human intelligence outward to cultivate the valley, build cities, and transform the physical world through productive achievement. Let us examine how both systems understand the human mind, consciousness, and emotions. If you observe the culture around us, you will find a widespread belief that emotions are primary and inexplicable, that our feelings are mysterious, causeless forces that strike from nowhere and dictate what is true, good, or necessary. Both Stoicism and Objectivism reject this error completely. The Stoics pioneered a revolutionary cognitive theory of emotions. Epictetus famously observed, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." For the Stoic, when you experience an external event, your mind receives an impression, a fantasia. But that impression does not automatically force an emotional state upon you. You possess a volitional faculty, the prohairesis, which has the power to grant or withhold assent, meaning your conscious agreement, your deliberate decision to either accept an impression as true or challenge and reject it. Consider how this plays out in concrete, everyday human experiences. Take the sudden loss of a job or an unexpected financial collapse. A purely reactive person is immediately gripped by panic, catastrophizing, and resentment. Everything is ruined. Life is unfair. I am a helpless victim. A Stoic steps back and withholds assent from the panic. Losing this job is an external event outside my direct control. My virtue, my judgment, and my character are untouched. This is an indifferent circumstance, and I will meet it with equanimity, meaning with steady calmness, composure, and emotional balance in the face of difficulty. An objectivist analyzes the facts with uncompromising clarity. Losing my income is a real objective setback to my values, but it is not a metaphysical doom. Reality is what it is. Panic will not generate a paycheck. What are the concrete facts? What skills do I have? What steps must I take today to produce new value? The objectivist acknowledges the value lost, but immediately channels the conscious reason into productive, self-reliant action. Consider a second example, receiving a sharp public insult or malicious slander. The reactive person flares with rage, wounded ego, and an obsessive need for retaliation or public validation. The Stoic remembers Epictetus' counsel. If someone insults you, they are merely speaking from their own judgment. If you do not adopt their insult as your own evaluation of yourself, you cannot be harmed. The objectivist reaches the same conclusion through objective justice and self-esteem. The irrational opinion of another person is not the standard of my worth. My self-esteem is earned through my own adherence to reality. and my own moral integrity. To let someone else's malice dictate my emotional state would be to grant them unearned power over my mind. Consider a third example, facing a sudden illness or physical limitation. The reactive mind sinks into despair and bitter existential resentment. Why did this happen to me? The Stoic treats the body as an external indifferent. My body may be afflicted, but my moral will remains free and unconquered. The Objectivist recognizes the physical condition as a metaphysically given fact. Nature is not punishing me. Biology operates by cause and effect. Evading the illness won't cure it. I will seek rational medical knowledge, adapt my productive efforts to my physical reality, and continue pursuing every value that remains possible to me. Now look at the other side of human experience, not when disaster strikes, but when human beings achieve great positive values. Consider a fourth example, achieving a major career milestone or building a thriving business. To the Stoic, career success, professional recognition, and wealth are external, preferred indifferents. They are pleasant if they arrive, but the Stoic constantly guards against becoming emotionally attached to them, reminding himself that worldly status has zero moral value and can vanish at any moment. To the Objectivist, productive achievement is the central purpose of human life. Achieving your goals through intelligence, grit, and skill is an objective triumph. It is not an indifferent, to be downplayed. It is a cause for earned pride, profound self-respect, and radiant celebration. Consider a fifth example, meeting and falling in love with a romantic partner. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously cautioned that when you love your partner or your child, you must remind yourself that they are mortals and externals outside your control, hedging your attachment so that their eventual loss will not disrupt your inner serenity. To the Objectivist, romantic love is one of the highest values a human being can experience. Love is not a risky liability to be managed with emotional detachment. Love is a profound, passionate response to your own highest values embodied in another person. It is an immense source of joy and emotional fuel, to be celebrated and cherished without defensive reservation. Consider a sixth example, monumental technological breakthroughs, like Elon Musk building reusable orbital rockets to reach Mars, or engineering autonomous self-driving cars. To ancient Stoicism, mastering technology and expanding man's physical footprint across the stars remains in the realm of external indifference. Marcus Aurelius observed that whether you live in a mud hut or travel across continents, cosmic nature remains unchanged, and external material conquest cannot improve the virtue of your soul. To Objectivism, creating reusable rockets that touch the heavens and engineering self-driving machines that liberate human time and save lives is the very definition of the heroic mind. It represents reason mastering the laws of physics to expand human survival, prosperity, and wonder. It is not an indifferent accident of nature. It is a towering achievement of human efficacy and a cause for joyful awe. Objectivism arrives at a strikingly similar conclusion regarding the relationship between thought and feeling, while grounding it in a fully articulated, systematic epistemology. In Objectivism, reason is man's only means of acquiring knowledge, his only judge of values, and his only guide to action. Emotions are not tools of cognition. They do not tell you what is real. Instead, emotions are automatic, psychosomatic estimates, the lightning-fast output of values and premises programmed into your subconscious mind by your past conscious thinking. Notice the profound agreement here. Both philosophies recognize that emotions are consequences, not primaries. You are the sovereign master of your inner thoughts. If you experience irrational fear, envy, or despair, the solution is never to passively let your emotions dictate your actions, nor is it to seek refuge in mystical evasions. The solution is the active, deliberate application of conscious reason to identify, question, and correct the subconscious premises driving those feelings. Where they diverge is the ultimate place of emotion in a flourishing life. The Stoic ideal is characterized by apatheia, freedom from emotional turbulence and destructive passions. Because the ancients saw deep emotional attachment to worldly success as a vulnerability to fortune, Stoicism leans toward emotional detachment and calm restraint. Objectivism, by contrast, does not view emotion as a liability to be subdued. When your mind is fully integrated, when your premises are rational and aligned with reality, emotions are not a threat to your stability. They are the passionate, radiant fuel of human life. For the objectivist, ambitious drive, proud self-respect, intense romantic love, and the profound joy of creative work are the ultimate psychological rewards of living rationally. Now that we understand why both philosophies place such immense weight on internal responsibility and rational discipline, we must ask the deeper philosophical question: why do they diverge on the value of the material world? The answer lies at the very root of philosophy, metaphysics, the fundamental nature of reality. Ancient Stoicism was rooted in a pantheistic and deterministic view of the universe. Pantheism meaning the belief that God and the physical universe are one and the same. The Stoics believed the cosmos itself is a single living rational organism infused with the logos, a divine reason, providence, or fate. Everything that happens is part of a necessary, interconnected causal web designed by the logos for the good of the whole. Because of this, the Stoics' ultimate metaphysical posture towards external events is acceptance, amor fati, the love of one's fate. If your ship sinks, if your city falls, or if disease strikes, the Stoic reminds himself that this is part of the cosmic order. You do not rage against reality. You align your will with nature and play your assigned part in the universal drama with dignity. Objectivism views reality through a fundamentally different lens, one that strips away all teleological and pantheistic assumptions and grounds itself firmly in a modern scientific worldview. Objectivism rests on the primacy of existence. Reality exists independently of any consciousness, whether human wishes or divine spirits, and things are what they are. This is Aristotle's law of identity. A is A. In concrete terms, this means that every entity in the universe possesses a specific, definite nature with discoverable properties. Causality is not an independent or mystical force. Things act and interact with other things strictly according to what they are. Electricity follows precise physical laws. Seeds grow into specific plants, and chemicals react according to their properties. An entity's specific nature is what governs all of its interactions, behaviors, and possibilities. Reality is not a conscious cosmic organism. It has no divine plan, no pre-written destiny, and no inherent preference for human welfare. Nature is an objective, indifferent world of entities acting consistently according to their specific natures. Crucially, in objectivism, man possesses genuine volition, free will. Our choices are not predetermined links in a cosmic script. We are not actors reciting lines assigned to us by providence. We are the primary authors of our own lives. This difference in metaphysics leads to two very different attitudes toward the physical world. For the Stoic, because the cosmos is governed by providence, your primary job is internal alignment, harmonizing your soul with the cosmic order. For the objectivist, because reality is an objective absolute composed of entities that act strictly according to their specific natures, nature is not something to merely submit to. It is something to understand, navigate, and shape. As Francis Bacon observed, a principle central to objectivism, nature, to be commanded, must be obeyed. We do not love fate, we master facts. We discover the specific natures and properties of physical matter, chemical reactions, and biological life, not to passively accept the elements, but to build heated homes, eradicate diseases, and construct spacecraft. Now let us examine the core of ethics, virtue and human purpose. Both Stoicism and Objectivism are uncompromising virtue ethics in the broadest sense. Both reject utilitarianism, sacrificing the individual for the collective good, and mindless hedonism, chasing short-term, unthinking physical pleasures. Both insist that virtue requires rigorous character, rational integrity, and moral courage. In Stoicism, virtue is defined through the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. To the Stoic, virtue is not just the highest good, it is the sole good. Virtue is its own reward. Practiced for its own sake, out of duty to the cosmopolis, the universal community of rational beings. Duty to your fellow man into the cosmic whole is the guiding moral standard. In Objectivism, virtue is understood through a radical, revolutionary grounding. The ultimate standard of value is man's life. Ayn Rand asked a foundational question rarely explored in ancient times. Why does man need a code of morality at all? Her answer is that the concept of value only exists because living organisms face a fundamental alternative: existence or non-existence. Survival is conditional. Morality is not a set of arbitrary cosmic duties, social traditions, or mystical commandments. Morality is an objective, scientific requirement for an individual human being to sustain and enjoy their life. Human beings do not possess automatic instincts that guarantee their survival. We discover empirically that human life requires observation, thought, and a genuine understanding of how to act in specific, objective ways in reality. Reason is our basic tool of survival, creation, and flourishing. Therefore, in Objectivism, rationality, the commitment to full mental focus, to reality, and to using that reason as one's sole guide, is the primary virtue. From rationality branch the other objective virtues: productiveness, the active creation of material and spiritual values; integrity, consistency of thought and action; honesty, the refusal to fake reality in thought or deed; independence, accepting the responsibility of forming your own judgments and sustaining your own life; justice, judging others objectively and granting to every person what they earn; and pride, the commitment to moral perfection and the deliberate shaping of your own character. Notice the vital distinction in purpose. For the Stoic, virtue is an end in itself, practice out of duty to the cosmic order. For the Objectivist, virtue is the practical means to an ultimate end, your own life, flourishing, and happiness. Furthermore, Stoicism treats virtue and value as nearly the same thing, declaring that virtue is the sole good and the only thing of genuine value. Objectivism, by contrast, draws a distinction between virtue and value, while seeing no conflict between them. A value is that which one acts to gain and keep, such as career, knowledge, romantic love, or physical health. A virtue is the action and rational principle by which you achieve and maintain those values. Practicing virtue is not a detached duty. It is the practical, necessary method of achieving the real values that make human life flourishing and joyful. Objectivism proudly advocates rational self-interest, the trader principle. It holds that you are not a sacrificial animal to the cosmos or the collective, and no other person is a sacrificial animal to you. Human relationships are properly founded on voluntary trade, mutual respect, and shared value. What, then, is the ultimate goal of human existence? What is happiness? For the Stoic, happiness is eudaimonia, largely experienced as ataraxia, untroubled tranquility, peace of mind, and freedom from psychological turmoil. It is the serenity of the sage who knows that external storms cannot touch the purity of his soul. Serenity meaning a deep, quiet inner peace and freedom from emotional agitation. It is a philosophy that provides profound psychological solace, especially in times of tragedy, tyranny, or unavoidable suffering. For the Objectivist, happiness is far more than the absence of pain, or the preservation of tranquility. Ayn Rand defined happiness as that state of consciousness which proceeds from the achievement of one's values. It is not passive serenity. It is an active, dynamic, and non-contradictory joy. It is the triumph of the engineer bridging a chasm, the entrepreneur building an enterprise, the artist bringing a vision to life, the scientist unlocking a law of nature, and the individual building a self-chosen life they love. Stoicism focuses on building an inner fortress to endure when hardship or tragedy strikes. Objectivism does not claim that human beings are invulnerable to loss or grief. Real tragedies happen in life, and when they do, the loss of real values is painful. Instead, Objectivism defines the objective values and virtues for which you can claim full responsibility. It does not hand you a pre-made world. It advocates clear rational recognition and purposeful action. It is the individual who must perceive reality, make judgments, and take the productive actions necessary to achieve a flourishing life. Stoicism asks, how can I remain serene and virtuous no matter what happens to me? Objectivism asks, How can I use my rational mind to recognize reality, take responsibility for my values, and act to create the most productive and joyful life possible? Stoicism and Objectivism are two of the most powerful, life-affirming philosophies ever conceived. Both demand that you take full responsibility for your mind. Both despise victimhood. Both hold that reason must govern your choices. Stoicism was the ancient world's greatest achievement in psychological self-mastery, a beacon of personal dignity in an era of arbitrary power. Objectivism takes that foundation of rational discipline, integrates it with the advances of modern epistemology, replaces cosmic fatalism with the objective primacy of existence, and crowns man not as an obedient servant of fate, but as a heroic, productive creator of his own destiny.